All right, Cyber Traders, welcome on back here this Monday, June 26th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Got a quiet crowd here for us right now, but time to wake on up. Great to see Roger still with us here. Bill and Leda just now checking in loud and clear from her. So that means I got all of us here. If I got one of us, I got all of us. So with that said, welcome on back, folks. And hey, if you're joining us back on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, the works. Welcome on back at the same time. We got a lot to talk about here this afternoon, folks. Wrapping up the Phase 2 stock course later on this afternoon at 3:05 Eastern Time coming up. So I look forward to that. We'll be talking about charting the market, charting the stock market as a whole, an index like the S&P, the Dow, the NASDAQ, or an ETF, let's say like the Qs or the SPY. So looking forward to it here, folks. Just before I was saying, for the most part, the SPY was kind of going nowhere. But if it's not going to make a strong bounce back up, given that it was dropping off from earlier, then I'd say at that point, the probability of it dropping towards the lows heading into the meeting increased. And that's exactly what happened, right? Haven't broken lower just yet, but still kind of making those lower highs, dipping back down, making those lower highs, dipping back. So we'll see if we end up getting support to hold or if we get the break of support. That's pretty much what we're looking for there. Now, at least what's on the screen right now, VCIG, actually a lot of us should be pretty familiar with this trade from last week. This got like a crazy daily chart here. Take a look. Stock ended up making a big pop for us back in early May. We took advantage of it back then from 3 up to like nearly 25. It was on very light volume at that point. You can call it a short squeeze if the stock was dropping off for a long time before that. Otherwise, you could just call it a new IPO, which is what it apparently seems to be. So a new IPO, well, broke all-time highs, same result, ended up just dumping right back down. So from there, what happened? Well, we were trading it more so from last week, but here's the interesting part. I don't know, it's just trying to line up some historical levels like we spoke about earlier in class, just talking about historical charting and squeezes and bounces. So 786 was a big level. That was the high back from May 3rd. All right, well, here 784, the high from Thursday last week. Today, 775, not perfectly in line with that 84, 86 right there, but pretty close. And for the meantime, the more it knocks its head on that, so to say, resistance, we'd be led to believe it's going to make a stronger reaction. So for the afternoon, it's up a decent amount. The order book just looks terrible. And that's pretty much the theme for today. A lot of these stocks that ran from earlier are already finished up. They already dumped back down. Otherwise, a trade like this, although it's still kind of pushing up here, it's very rugged. Looking at the 1-minute chart, a little trend off the lows, but we're not trying to buy and hold across the entire day. We're just trying to take breakouts or bounces and then to see more concise direction. So I wish this was just more liquid, if anything. I'm actually just going to put this on the side list for right now. Maybe by the end of it all, I'll put this on the main watch list. Actually, I'll jump to another stock on our proverbial side list here that we may end up actually putting on our main list, even though it's down more than 5% and trying to squeeze up here. Mara ended up making a good little move from earlier this morning, but ended up breaking below support off of 1250. There were two key levels heading into the day today for Mara, 1271. Closing bell print from Friday last week. And then 1250, which was a big selling level. I was hoping to see that get flipped into support, but ended up seeing it break. And then from there, ended up collapsing through that 1250 and broke much lower. So, ended up dropping down, but has since made a small little bounce here. Ended up breaking under and over another support line I drew here, 1172, right there for the most part. Myself, Roger, chatting that up earlier in the trading room earlier there. So for right now, I don't mind even putting Mara on the main list, given that it's a lot more liquid. It's a lot easier of a stock to try and focus on. Perhaps if crypto's stronger than the market and we get a collective bounce across the S&P, then perhaps this could be an even better push. So it's more speculative, but it's tradable. All right, let's go from top to bottom right now, seeing if there's anything else looking good, though. Looking better than this at the highs that has similar type of liquidity. That's ideally what you'd want to follow at this time of the day. Right away, looking at this thing, I'm going to move on from meds. Ended up popping and dropping. This thing needs some meds right now. MLTX, whatever meds that needs, this needs triple. So, MLTX ended up popping and dropping earlier. That's a done deal already. We knew that at this point. SLRN, a little pop and drop earlier, but trying to recover here, I reckon, right? Order book isn't terrible. It's not the worst I've ever seen. I wish the size was a little bit bigger here to see if there's actual support coming in. I'm going to put it to the side list, though. SLRN. Stock free looks like it's been a mess across the mid to late morning since. Had called it out in pre-market, made a small pop after the open, but again, just kind of flat afterwards. Again, better flat than tanking, right? And it has a very good order book at that point. So you know what? I like this free trade. Hopefully ends up making the better pop. Hopefully frees itself from this resistance. I'm full of puns this afternoon here, as you could tell. All right, ORIC ended up making a nice little run up here across the afternoon. You know, it's at the highs. Spread's not, I mean, it's opening up a little bit, so it's out there, but not terrible. Yeah, this thing took a huge hit from 40 plus all the way down, dropped over 90% over time. And, you know, you can call this a short squeeze in the making here. I'll put this on our main watch list for right now. Hopefully more volume joins the order book soon enough. Probably has a really low float, though. Be careful of that if it head fakes. PALT looks like a beautiful pennant here. Lower highs, higher lows. That is a perfect pennant pattern. Doesn't always lead me to think it's going to break higher, though. So for right now, again, just on the side list. It's only trading about 1,000 or 1,500 shares per minute. That's very little. So that's kind of like the point that I'm going to move away from this trade on. All right, well, if that's the case, an ILPT stock took a huge hit back from last year, even from the end of 21 to now, and in good order book. It's at the highs. It's not crazy. It's not moving at 50 cents a clip. So you know what? Yeah, that's the difference between two different trades there. This one, not too bad. I like this one. All right, we keep it going. All right, now we got ourselves a little list here, and now EOSE, this stock we've done pretty well on. If it wasn't from the end of May, then it was beginning of June. So yeah, this one in the past, on and off, even from before that time as well. So we at least are familiar with this stock. It's kind of like under the radar at times for any of our students like Leda and Michael. If you ever see like, you know, BLUV make the gainers or losers list, that's kind of how I relate this EOS stock to. They're not related, those two directly, but in terms of price, liquidity, kind of sneaks up on you every now and then, the stock. It's been a nice side list play here at that. It's not an everyday play, but if it just shows good enough volume at a certain time of the day, like pre-market or right now, then it's something you want to follow. Big iceberg order on the ask at the high here, about 110,000 at 420. All right, there we go. Good list here so far. I like it. And that's all at the market kind of slumping off here too, isn't it? SOUN had popped from earlier today. It's looking pretty dull right now, so we'll move on from this trade. But again, another nice day for this stock. Carol saying CCL is moving, which, yeah, CCL, did I bring up during the meeting or no? Did I bring this one up yet or no? We were calling it out all throughout the day, morning into the afternoon. So, you know, just before we were talking about it. But if I didn't bring it up just during this meeting here, at least, great heads up once again from Carol. And it's on the loser side, but it's been a phenomenal trade all around. Short, then the bounce off of 14, pushing up about 42 cents since. If I'm putting Mara on our main list, it's hard to not put CCL on there, right? CCL coming off earnings this morning, right? So that's the news with Carnival. All right, so let's hop over to the loser side coming up in just a bit as we wrap up the gainer side first. FNGR. All right, let's hop over to the losers list here, seeing if there's anything looking just as good. That FGen kept dropping, huh? And you could say the same with AVTX. Both of these were down huge in the market, or huge in pre-market heading into the open. And you'd look for any sort of dead cat bounce on them. I was anticipating FGen of the two to be the stronger of the bounces. Ended up making a subtle little pop at first, but then very quick pullback. So, yeah, FGEN is still shortable on TradeStation's platform, folks. You could try and short this here at this stage. I think that this could be at all-time lows as well, if I'm not mistaken. Which I'm not. I don't think I am. So all-time lows for FGEN technically has a small little more to go to get to the bottom floor to get, you know, that much closer to zero. So there's still a little room to try and short it. But hey, if it fails to break lower, if it makes a head fake and squeezes back above a big level, then perhaps at that point, with how much it's already down percentage wise, then in that case you could look for that dead cat bounce one last time. But so far it hasn't really seemed like it's wanted to bounce, right? So stick with your levels first, and then hey, if it pops above resistance, all right, then there's a chance. All right, so Mara holding under 12, folks. And really, I'm not just saying this to say this. Maybe there could be one down here, but normally there is not a whole lot otherwise on the loser side here. A bunch of stuff hard to borrow, low volume, too cheap. The fact that we had these two down over 80% to begin is pretty interesting, but everything else here looking like a no-name type of stock. VKTX, I haven't checked in on this one probably in a week or two. Stock broke all-time highs, I think, recently, but then it pulled back. Wow, really strong top at 26, and then the pullback from there. Down big today. It was just at the lows a moment ago, started to make a subtle dead cat bounce. Could be a good side list stock. I'll write it down for the side list at least. All right, so folks, what do you got for me? Anything else looking good up, down, left, right, more than 5% here? We got our phase 2 stock horse class concluding today at 3:05 Eastern. Current time now 2:41, so making pretty good use of time. But let me know if there's anything else that we had missed. I'm going to just check in on the side list stocks before we wrap up. VCIG, not looking good. SLRN, you could kind of say the same here. It popped up earlier, but now really flat. PALT, we don't have a overwhelmingly big list. If this ends up pushing up, that could be a viable trade. But for right now, I feel like dependent with the declining volume, we'll see a bit of a drop first, if anything. But just watch out for the trend off the highs on this. If it could pop that trend off the highs, the lower highs trend that it has, then there's a chance for this to really go. So I'll slip it on there at the end, the back end here, PALT. All right, so perfect. Hey, for Jason, John, Leda, and Kathleen, Roger, Grant, Bill, and all of us otherwise, hey, best of luck trading going into the close if you're not joining me. But hey, otherwise, I look forward to seeing all of us in class. And for all of us on social media right now, I always like to post my email here at the end of these streams, josh@ctutrading.com. Any questions or trades that you'd want to go over with me on the side, feel more than free to shoot me over a quick email. We always have new members joining us on social, on like YouTube, and then eventually join us as a trial member here inside our live trading room. So if you wanted to make the plunge, join us inside our live trading room. Rich will be continuing the audio commentary from 3 to 4 p.m. Just go right down to the link on the green banner below the stream right there on the bottom to get yourself set up, to get yourself started. You got to learn before you could earn, folks. So with that in mind, best of luck trading once again heading into the close today. Take care.